So I think you've seen a lot of color grading videos by now, but I think there's a flaw with most of them because they're working with footage that was shot on a professional camera. And many times, mostly if you're a freelancer, you get some footage that was shot on the
revolutionary 720p potato camera.
And yeah, it can be really bad footage that you have to mix with footage that was shot on a professional camera. And that's a really hard thing to do. And what I'm gonna show you today is a few frames that I got from a client that look like this. And I had to mix it with footage that was shot on a professional camera. And we'll make it look something like this. I don't even think the client was expecting that much. This made me land the job, and using a tool called Dehancer made all this possible. And now we're in Premiere Pro, and this is what we have to work with. This is our client's clip, and as you can see, it was shot on a really bad camera. I don't know if it was an action camera or a phone, but let's see what we can do. First thing, I'm going to try to match the colors and the highlights and shadows by using the color wheels and match feature, which is included in Premiere Pro. I'm going to turn on the comparison view and I'm going to apply match. And now let's go to the Lumetri scopes. And as you can see, our footage is pretty much matched by the intensity of the highlights and the shadows. They're not exactly the same, but Premiere Pro, as you can see, introduced some teal in the shadows, more teal in the midtones and the highlights. So this is a good start, but let's see what we can do by using Dehancer. I'm going to go to Effect Controls and I'm going to search for Dehancer. I'm going to drag it over our clip. Let's just close the comparison view and I'm going to expand the input. This is set to Rec 709 because our footage is Rec 709, so that's great. I'm going to go to Film and just choose the Kodak Vision 3200T because it gives us a more washed out look, but this is good because we have more flexibility to work with. I'm going to expand the Film Developer, Film Compression, Expand and Print. First thing, I'm going to go to Print because print is like developing your picture, and because we're talking about film, this is important. I'm going to set this to the Kodak 2383 film print, and then I'm going to go to the color head, and I'm also going to enable this because I want to introduce some colors into our image, and I'm basically wanting to introduce some more overall teal in our image. So I'm going to increase the blues by 2, the greens by 2, and maybe subtract red by 4. Okay, then I'm going to go to Film Developer and I'm going to enable this, and I'm going to boost the contrast because our image is lacking contrast, and I think this looks okay. I'm going to enable film compression because this is going to give a very nice roll off to our highlights. As you can see, check this out. I mean, if you try to do this by manually in almost any type of software, you won't be able to give your image such a beautiful roll off in the highlights. But I'm going to also mess with the white point because I think now it's a bit too washed out. And I'm going to just decrease it a little. I'm going to check the Lumetri scopes again. Our highlights match almost perfectly, and our shadows could be a bit lower. And for this, I'm going to go to Effects again into Dehancer, and I'm going to go to the black point and set it to something like 2 to decrease the black point. And now it matches perfectly. I think what we could further do to enhance this is go to Basic Correction in our Lumetri Colors tab and just go a little bit to the blues and also introduce some green, because blue and green will give that teal look to the overall image. And by going into the green side, we are basically removing reds. Now let's just create another lumetri color, go to the effect controls, and let's just make a mask. And I'm going to drag this mask over the lower part of the image because I think this is looking a bit too bright for my taste. And just introduce some more feather. And now just decrease the highlights, the shadows, and the overall exposure by just a tad and boost the contrast. Okay, so now this looks much better. And let's go over to Dehancer again. And let's just go to the film and push-pull EV and go a bit like -7 negative on the push-pull EV. Now let's check our lumetri scopes again, and I think we are almost perfectly matching. I think we could use even a bit more contrast. Yes, I think this is perfect. And now our footage is matching perfectly one with the other. I think we have just a bit too much saturation, but this is not a problem. Let's just use Dehancer for this. I'm going to go to color boost and just take it back a bit. And now, even now, our saturation is a bit too much. If we drag it like this, yes, and now our footage matches perfectly one with the other. Let me just show you something interesting. Something I love a lot is the film grain that it produces. Just look at this mirror. If I disable the film grain, you can see it looks very soft and mushy. But the moment I enable the film grain, it's just like it brings back details in the image. And this makes our footage that was shot on a potato camera to look much more cinematic. And I know Dehancer can be a bit expensive, but I have a 10% discount code for my viewers that use my code GoCreate. So I think it makes it a bit easier to purchase it. And you also won't have any monthly recurring payments because I know subscriptions can add up. And if you're a freelancer or someone who just loves creating stuff, just like my channel, then Dehancer is going to be a great tool in your arsenal. So until next time, guys, have a great day and go create good stuff.